number 1 of the first match of the 3rd season of Team Arena Challenge here at IPL, and in the purple, in the Terran, well, I guess Terran garb.
The Terran pants.
The Terran geometry, if you will. From the team Eclypsia, it is Dayshi. And at the top of the map, in the red, playing Protoss from the team Acer, certainly one of their stars, it is Elfi.
Yeah, I mean, Elfi, as we can remember, what, he took 4 games in a row, I believe, in their qualifying match to actually make it into the tournament proper.
He's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yep, he's not bad at all.
He's pretty, yeah, he definitely is. I mean, especially on a team that's stacked with top-level Zerg players. And when you think of Acer, you largely think of players like Nurchio that are in there. So, Elfi definitely giving a different look, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he plays here. The map, of course, is Daybreak. What could we think of a better map to kick the tournament off winners round 1, though? I think this is a great way to set the tone.
It is an awesome map. I think a lot of pros would call this the best map in StarCraft 2 right now. Actually, ironically, we were talking with I was talking with Axlav and Poke Bunny on Cartographer just a few minutes ago, and we did kind of a 1 to 10 scale to rate the map that we were looking at.
Yeah.
With 1 being Incineration Zone and 10, immediately Axlav said Daybreak. So it really is a great map. You know, he and I both said it at kind of the same time. So everybody loves this map. It's a very balanced map. That probe actually taking a decent amount of damage from that SCV. He's a stone-cold killer.
Yes, he is. It looks like Dayshi is going to bypass gas for the time being. 1-Rax gasless fast expand, nothing out of the ordinary, of course, on Daybreak. Now, Elfi, he is going to get back in there. He sees the lack of one of those gases. He's going to check the second one, see nothing there as well, and we'll see if he goes down that path. A lot of Protoss players are doing where they'll have that gas geyser coming up in case they saw anything weird, but we'll see if he bypasses it and just decides to go straight for the Nexus. No, he is going to mine gas, so it may just be a 1-gate sentry expand.
Gas is vitally important, of course, and everybody likes it. That's just how it is. But you know, you do raise a good point. You do see, yeah. Well, not that. No, that's not. That's why we have our buildings well ventilated here.
Yes, yes, we do.
But you do raise a very good point, though, that a lot of Protoss players will actually just maybe build that gas geyser and then not mine from it until they get the Nexus up. I mean, when you see your opponent going for a fast command center, it's certainly enticing to just get the Nexus as quickly as you possibly can, but Acer.Elfi going for the very normal 1-gate expand probably in this case.
And has a Stalker coming up right away. Nothing too out of the ordinary there because he has gone down this path. Now taking a look at his opponent's side of things, Dayshi is just putting his bunker up at the front, not doing anything too weird though. The real question is going to be how many barracks does he put up before he switches over to gas? How heavy does he start taking in that gas? And that's really going to mark his next steps in this game.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to apologize in advance if I feel a bit distracted throughout the cast, but I can't wait to get home and play Diablo 3. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it. I just want to get that out there right now, that in the back of my mind, while I'm casting this game, I am thinking a little bit about Diablo 3. I'm not going to lie. It's just how it is.
Well, there's a lot of people out there that are doing the same thing. So.
That's true. I bet a lot of people out there right now have Diablo 3 in one monitor and our cast in the other one, too. And that's a perfectly fine way to spend your afternoon, if you ask me.
It was so funny. Evening. I tweeted this morning, as we do see another Nexus coming up and 2 more barracks followed by double gas on the way now. I tweeted this morning, oh, Stalker, got to watch out there. Steals 1 kill, now backing away. Hasn't taken that much permanent damage, though. So I tweeted that, am I the only person that's not played Diablo yet? And it ended up being one of the most popular tweets I've ever done, apparently. Robotics facility coming down now for Elfi. So I had 1 million responses to it, but apparently half the people were convinced that I hated Diablo.
Wow.
And they were like, oh yeah,
Diablo
I hate
hater.
this game too. You're so right. And I'm like, no, I don't hate it. I just haven't played it yet.
You know, I don't think a lot of people got to play that last night, unfortunately. But a lot are now. I was able to play it this morning a little bit.
Yeah.
It was fun. I haven't quite made it through the content yet that was already in the beta, but they've already added a couple cool things in there that weren't in there before, so I'm excited. Playing Wizard.
Oh, nice.
I like Wizards.
I'm
I played
looking forward
Sorcerers
to
in
it.
Diablo 2, so.
And so a couple of things going on here. As we see Elfi actually going up to a very fast 3rd gas. He hasn't taken advantage of that quite yet, but I do believe the SCV got a beat on it. No, he has not.
Oh,
that's actually kind of interesting. Oh, Elfi's attention was elsewhere, but finally he does turn those around. Looks like he will be able to save both of the Stalkers and inflict some damage on the Marines as well.
Yeah.
But I'm curious what Elfi's next move is. 2nd gate coming up now. Does he go to a quick robotics bay? Do we see some heavy tech out of him soon?
Yeah, I mean, the late metagame, or lately the metagame has been to go for a relatively quick Colossus, and there's Robotics Bay. Now, yeah, it could be a Warp Prism, but, you know, we've seen so many Protoss players, Squirtle being a great example of that, really, really enjoy doing a lot of 2-base Colossus tech builds against Terran lately, and Daybreak maybe is a little bit bigger map for something like that, I would say, but it's not a bad map. There's really no bad maps for that right now in tournament play.
Now, Dayshi's approach is a little interesting to note as well. You'll see a lot of players recently that are trying to hit earlier upgrade timing so that engineering bay comes down before the factory. But in this case, looks like Dayshi really wants to get those medevacs out as quick as possible.
Oh, that's pretty common. I mean, that was standard for a long time. There was a short while, and this is like a year and a half ago at least now, where Protoss players were using some DT builds to sort of get around that. So then you saw the response to get an earlier engineering bay. But now we've kind of hit this middle ground where Terran players are kind of confident of their scouting enough to leave the engineering bay off for a little while longer and usually get those medevacs first, unless you're going for something like, for instance, what the MMA likes to do a lot, which is to get double engineering bay, get double upgrades going relatively quickly. But all in all, you know, pretty normal builds from both players right now. We've got 2 base Colossus from Elfi, and 3 barracks into medevac from Dayshi.
Pretty normal build for Elfi, but absurdly greedy, I have to say. Not that many units out on the field. He poked with 2 Stalkers. True. He's got 3 sentries sitting back at home, and he's going right into range, and a couple of Colossi. So now, of course, if he pulls this off, his infrastructure is great. He's got great upgrades. His army is incredibly strong, but he's got to watch out and make sure he doesn't take a lot of early damage from Dayshi.
Yeah, well, the idea is that you get your Colossus out fast enough, right, so that even if they do like, you know, a push with like the first 2 medevacs, which is quite possible for Dayshi, you've already got a Colossus out. You've already got Thermal Lance. You've got, as we can see, Elfi getting 2 more gateways right now. So this push is kind of tailored to be good against the type of standard play that you see from so many Terrans, you know, Dayshi included in this particular game. So, yeah, you do tech very aggressively, but the idea is to just barely get the units out in time to hold some very common pushes.
Yep, exactly. And his second Colossus is jumping down now here, and we do see double Forge being added, so he really wants to invest in those upgrades as well. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but pylons are not going to be able to power things up and down cliffs in Heart of the Swarm, so the displacement of the Forges would actually not be seen in the next expansion.
Yeah, I believe that is true. I mean, of course it is a beta, so they will be changing things here and there, but I'm not sure if it was just you can't warp in from a pylon on the low ground, or if you just can't power anything with pylon on the low ground. It's one of the 2.
Oh, good catch. The Observer there as Dayshi is going to move out. Oh, unfortunately, the medevacs get caught. One of them gets picked off full of units. Rest of everything trying to come in now and pick off the Colossi. One of those does go down. The second one trying to be targeted as well. A few units being dropped around the back. And the Colossus will fall. So despite the fact that Elfi was able to catch those medevacs, he actually does suffer quite a few losses nonetheless.
Look at that, and killing off sentries as well. I mean, this has actually turned out to be very good for Dayshi. He kills everything. 2 Colossi and everything except for just those 2 Stalkers, which barely get away. You know, after losing that medevac, it looked rough early on, but man, he really did a lot of damage with that.
No kidding. And it looks like Dayshi going to move back, and he is going to re-drop. I was curious about that. Elfi going to spam down 4 more gateways. Going to be on 8 gate on 2 bases while his opponent expands and almost has finished up his 3rd.
And the thing is, with this gateway positioning, Dayshi might be able to use this to drop and kind of keep his units a little bit safer, too, from Zealots and things like that. And that's exactly what he's going to do. The Zealots being warped in a place where they can be kited fairly easily. Yeah, these Zealots not doing hardly anything at all. The Colossi should push this back, but Elfi just under so much pressure right now. He's certainly a little bit behind at this point in this game.
Yeah, loses a few more workers there, so his opponent is on 3 bases, an additional 5 workers, and don't forget those all-important mules that are being called down as well. Oh, and just on cue, Dayshi.
Mules.
I appreciate it. You're amazing. Okay, there we go. 3rd base now coming up for Elfi as well, but he will have to play a bit of economic catch-up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you said, he is getting that base on a little bit later. He's still continuing to tech quite aggressively with this. And overall, you know, he will have a lower unit count, too. You can see the supply, 113 to just 81 for Elfi. So Dayshi does have the supply advantage. He's got the economy advantage. What he needs to do right now is just make sure that he can keep holding Elfi down. He needs to deny that 3rd base, continue to harass with drops exactly like this, and just make sure that his opponent never quite gets a leg up in this game, because you know, he doesn't need to get in there and kill him right away.
Right.
There's no reason to push an attack when his opponent is stuck on 2 bases, but there's all the reason in the world to make sure that he stays on 2 bases for the rest of time, basically.
Now, Elfi is doing a couple of smart things, though. He's got charge coming up. He's investing in 2-2, producing 3 probes at a time, and so his upgrades are actually quite a bit better than his opponent. Oh, but he may just lose his third base,
man,
and all that.
Gone.
What I was about to say is he had so much gas banked up, he'll hit a lot of Templar, but it doesn't matter now. Wow, that third base is destroyed, uncontested.
That is that. I mean, that really shows the strength of drop play, not just in the damage that it does, but in the mental effect it has on your opponent. You know, it kept Elfi in his natural, let Dayshi kind of poke up there and kill the third, and all of this stuff, all the harassment, all the poking, has allowed Dayshi to get that third base up, and that's really kind of the main point of all this, is that he has a third base and Elfi doesn't, right? So now, you know, Dayshi just in a great position. All he has to do is just pick his engagements well, you know?
Well, Storm has not been researched now for Elfi. Oh, in fact, Dayshi is going to see this pylon off to the side and lose that command center. Yeah, it is indeed canceled. But Dayshi's army is very, very large at the moment. He himself is starting 2-2 again. That upgraded advantage, though, is going to Elfi at the moment, as his 2-2 is nearly finished up. But if he attacks now, he'll be attacking without that advantage.
Yep, not maybe the best timing here, but I think I'm sensing a bit of desperation in Elfi. He does have a pretty good army. Charge is done. He's got Archons and Colossi. Oh, the Colossus goes down very quickly.
Yeah.
That's a great spot for those bio units.
No kidding. The Zealots getting torn up pretty quickly, or at least these bio units being as cost-effective as they possibly can. SCVs surrounding the Archon. They take it out. I want to see who the lucky SCV was. Probably actually was a Marine firing from the side. But now Elfi finds himself at about a 60 supply deficit and down a base.
Yeah, nothing makes you feel like more, I don't know, guilty or silly or like fun when you kill things like Archons and Colossi with SCVs. You know, especially if you like go all in and then you end up killing Colossi with SCVs. It's just like the most, I don't know, giggly, evil feeling in the world. You're like, this shouldn't happen. But it is, and I'm enjoying it.
Well, looks like the base finally finishes up now for Elfi, so he'll be able to start mining off of 3 bases. And 2-2's now finished, but again, of course, with the good positioning and the equal upgrades that Dayshi was on a second ago, was able to deflect that previous attack without taking any economic damage. So he is still in a very nice spot. Looks like Elfi just purely going over to Templar and charge lots for now. No additional Colossi haven't started.
That's right. So what does Dayshi do at this point? I mean, he kind of needs to do something about that third base. Remember, you know, kind of like what I said, that's going to be his priority now. I mean, obviously dropping and killing off tech buildings is nice. You know, killing probes is nice with drops, but it's really that third base that should be his major concern. And it looks like he's moving out to try to take that down. He does still have a significant supply lead. So even though Elfi does have good upgrades, and even though he does have decent amounts of AoE with this army, the army is just too small, I think.
And he throws down 1 Storm, zones out a couple of units. Looks like he really wants to engage here. Dayshi's starting to move up the ramp, bouncing away for a little bit. Takes a couple of Zealots with him, but has lost a few of his Marauders.
Well, he notices that Dayshi doesn't have any Ghosts right now. That really allows Elfi to be a little bit more aggressive with the smaller force. Obviously, if EMP was a concern, Elfi would not be anywhere near this crazy with it. He would sit back, try to spread his units and play defensive. But as it is, at this particular moment, he can take that map control, but it's not going to last long. There are some Ghosts on the way. A couple have popped out already, and pretty soon Dayshi is going to be ready to go on the offensive again.
That is true, but, you know, Elfi has been able to sit back now. His 3-3 upgrades are underway. He's got a third base well saturated, starting that 4th as well. So if he can deflect a big attack, he may be able to find a way to equalize, but that is a very large crushing force coming out for Dayshi right now.
That's not over yet. Oh, nice Storm hitting a lot of those Vikings and Medevac, softening them up a little. Oh, great feedbacks on a couple Ghosts as well. Yeah, Elfi certainly not going down without a fight.
No, and forces an EMP out that whiffs and then hits a ton of forces with those Storms. So Elfi with a great change there. Now, a lot of his Zealots were EMP'd, so they're backing off for the time being, but Elfi, that was just the thing he needed.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, he did enough damage to that army to force it back. Dayshi needs to just kind of sit back and take a 4th base now, try to kind of chill out. And Elfi is certainly back in this game. He's caught up on supply. He's got a 4th base on the way. He's in great shape. And this is kind of the situation that Terrans dread being in a little bit, getting into this late game situation against Protoss. The Protoss late game army is just so strong right now.
Definitely is, and a few workers are going along with this, although that's not the biggest deal for Dayshi at this point. He's still sitting on 72 SCVs and has plenty of energy to go around for mules if he really needs to buffer that mineral count. So,
you know, There was a great article actually that was just released by EG where they interviewed DeMuslim and In Control about this matchup, and DeMuslim had a great quote, I think, in that the match right now, TVP feels like a time bomb for Terran, where if you let it get to this point, Protoss has so much AoE.
Well, we'll find out now as Templar kind of headbutting themselves, only dropping down a couple of storms, but Elfi was able to equalize in supply overall, pressing with those 3-3 upgrades well before his opponent's upgrades were ever able to come up. These ghosts just cloaked on a mission to take down as much as they can. The Colossus getting very, very low and does die.
They do get that one Colossus. Whoops, a little bit of mistake there not to have an observer with that army. So Elfi's going to need to be careful with that, but... And, well, Dayshi's right. You know, I mean, this is the reason why they took Kidera and Amulet out of the game last year, is because it was just too strong. I mean, Storms at this point in the game are so huge for Protoss, but...
They are, but let's also be honest, you know, Dayshi certainly could have done some things to turn his fortune around in this game. That, you know, I mean, he didn't take advantage of a couple of opportunities. Now transferring some units over to the Planetary Fortress over at the top. Elfi does have the supply lead and has been sitting on this fourth base a little bit longer than his opponent. Looks like he's going to make his way up there and try and deny that right away. Dayshi coming right behind them with a big force of ghosts.
Yep, and he's going to need to have some really good EMPs to make this work, and the EMPs so far are not very good.
Yeah, looks like he does hit a few units there. The Zealots charging in from behind, getting a little bit better engagement than they have been at other points in this game. Yep. But it looks like Dayshi going to start warding those forces back at least temporarily, but now Elfi has a huge advantage in this game.
Yeah, he also did have that observer in there. GG from Dayshi, and Acer takes game one. Acer.Elfi.
Yeah. Congrats to him, man. So really setting Acer up on the right foot there. Considering how much 88 supply to 146